Hi there, my name is Sadie Gregg. I'm a senior this year at Lewis Clark State College and I'm studying business administration. I will be graduating with my Bachelor's of Science this coming May. This video is being created for my Senior Seminar 1 class that's taught by Jill Thomas Jorgensen, and it's for my Thinking Outside the Box presentation that's due November 1st. Thinking outside the box on page 156 of our textbook, Think, refers to Judge Judy and the fallacies that are used on her show. Judge Judy is a family court judge that has her own televised reality court show, and she has since 1996. Prior to her show airing, she was the only woman in her class to graduate from the New York Law School, and she's famous for her no-nonsense attitude and her response to the fallacies that many people use on her show. Many people have very, very poor arguments, and people are really drawn to that. I'm a fan of Judge Judy. It comes on right after Dr. Phil on Channel 4 at 4 o'clock, and if I'm home, it's on at my house. It's an entertaining show, and I know a lot of people really like it. She's quick to respond to the ridiculous claims of the plaintiffs, and while she is very tough, she's also very fair. She makes quick decisions, and she is very popular. Judge Judy can be quoted saying, "If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory," which is very true. She's also quoted saying, "Do I have stupid written on my forehead?" And she's also very good at keeping control of her courtroom. She'll dismiss somebody's case if they disrupt the court too much, and she won't hesitate. Now, there's 3 different categories of fallacies that are listed in our textbook, Think. The first are fallacies of ambiguity, which focus on the meaning of words and how they're used. They could be used grammatically incorrect, which changes their meaning, and then it draws a whole different conclusion than to what was actually meant. Then there are fallacies of relevance, which include appeal to pity or popular appeal, and appeal to ignorance. Then there are fallacies involving unwarranted assumptions, which include begging the question, loaded questions, false dilemmas, questionable cause, slippery slope, which I will talk about later. So I watched episode 266 of Judge Judy for this assignment, and each episode generally has 2 different cases within the episode. The background of the first episode is there was a young girl that was suing her uncle and her uncle's girlfriend for lost wages. She agreed to babysit their 2 children for the amount of $100 a week, and her uncle made an agreement with some of the neighbors to watch their 2 children for $200 a week. Now that agreement was that he would watch them, but what he ended up doing was actually dropping them off with his niece. So now his niece has 4 children to watch. No new agreement was made. She's still being paid the same amount, and she was not asked if she would take on the additional 2 kids. At the end of 6 weeks, she was only paid a total of $200. At 6 weeks, she should have been making $600 and not had to have watched the 2 additional kids. During the case, the defendant, her uncle, argued that she didn't get paid because he had already spent the money. During the case, he argued that he had bills to pay, and so that's why she didn't get paid. Then I would say this is an attempt to gain pity from Judge Judy, and that's a fallacy of relevance, and actually 2 that land in the category of fallacy of relevance, because there's appeal to pity, which is an attempt to gain support for the conclusion by evoking a feeling of pity when pity is irrelevant to the conclusion, which in this case it was. And then there is popular appeal, which is an appeal made to the opinion of the majority to gain support for the conclusion. And the fact is that just because you don't have the funds to pay your niece doesn't mean that she doesn't get paid for babysitting those children. If you have bills to pay and you don't have any money, those bills don't just disappear. He also made a slight attack on her character. I would go ahead and say that he committed an ad hominem fallacy, which in the book is described as an attempt to refute an argument by attacking the character or circumstances of the person making the argument, because he said that she was kind of watching the children. So it was a small jab at her that was unnecessary. Then there was the second case in this episode, number 266. The plaintiff is a woman that was parked in front of an elementary school. She was waiting to pick up her grandson. And the defendants are two mothers of two children that were playing in front of the school. And the two children were responsible for a dent that ended up on the plaintiff's minivan. The defendants had a few excuses in their arsenal, so let me tell you what those were. First, the mothers of the two kids argue that a school resource officer made a report that claimed the plaintiff was parked in a no parking zone. Therefore, the children didn't expect the vehicle to be there, and had it not been parked illegally, the damage would not have been done. This is an example of an inappropriate appeal to authority. Fallacy, that is an appeal based on the testimony of an authority that is in another field that is not under investigation. The mothers also told Judge Judy that they cannot see how the dent on the car was caused by someone's head, and Judge Judy responded to that by saying, call CSI. It was not her problem, and it'd be pretty hard to argue that the dent was made by something other than the little boy's head when the little boy said he hit his head on the car. Judge Judy was very proud of these kids for taking responsibility for their actions. They both answered her questions honestly and she told her mothers to take after their children and teach them to take responsibility, not attempt to get them out of taking responsibility. She was aware that the kids did not have any intent to cause damage to property and commended them for their courage and to tell the truth about the incident. Here's an example of a fallacy that I've experienced. I have a 4-year-old girl, and like most kids, she loves candy. So she came to me the other day, and she had a candy in her hand. And she said, I'm sad, can I have this candy? And the reason she did this is because I've let her have candy in the past with the excuse of saying that she's sad. So this time she took it upon herself, though, to get it before asking if it was okay first. So she expected me to say yes, and this is an example of the slippery slope fallacy. Because in this instance, I think it was an appeal to pity fallacy also, but the slippery slope fallacy, basically, she got away with it once, she's assuming that she'll get away with it again, and continue to go further. Maybe next time she'll just eat it without asking. In the process of doing this presentation, I've gained knowledge on the use of fallacies and how to easily recognize them. I find them very interesting to point out, and I think they're a waste of time. They're not relevant in arguments, and they can be dangerous if you're not paying attention and not realizing or taking the time to think critically about your situation. You can't combat them if you don't know how to first recognize them, so I'm thankful for this assignment and for it forcing me to dive more into the topic. Thank you for watching my presentation, and I hope that you enjoyed it.